As your body starts to settle down into the earth, begin to let huge breaths flow. Huge chances to inflate the lungs, maybe more than we have any breath we've taken today so far. Imagine these initial breaths are a moment, kind of like when you're just starting to inflate a balloon. You have to hold it open really wide, that very entrance to the balloon. And then you have to turn on the fan and just let tons and tons of air start to fill up. So imagine that's what these breaths are like. Just huge, huge chances to get some air in our body. Just easy relaxation out of our mouth. So take a few more breaths like that as our body's getting settled into the ground. As you continue these really deep inhales to get us kickstarted today, the visualization we're taking on is the process of inflating a balloon and eventually letting it come up, filling it with fire, with heat, and then letting it go off and fly. And one thing that I was imagining as I was coming in is I remember sometimes when there's special shapes with lots of teeny little pieces coming off of the balloon, sometimes there's one part of the special shape that the fabric's kind of twisted or something like that, and it makes it so it never really receives the air. It never receives that inflation. And so even when the balloon takes off, it's like that part of the balloon just has like a limp leg or something, just not wanting to fill up. And so as we're heading into our practice today, sometimes our body has areas like that where it's like just tightness, limpness. It's like the body doesn't really want to open up that much. Certain areas of it, at least, it's like, that's my stuck spot. So imagine, especially these first couple of stretches we take, it's like we're trying to twist the fabric around in a way that will let it start to receive some of that oxygen, receive the air of this big inflation right now. So that's the first image I want us to take. So from here, when you're ready, start to bring the knees into the chest, start to grab a hand on each knee, and start to take just easy rocking movements so that you can kind of tune into the hips and the sacrum. Sometimes it's like I give that area a little massage just by dancing my hips on the ground. So the first thing I want to do here is release the left leg on the earth, and right leg starts to kick up to sky. Hands grab behind the back side of the leg. So when you've got that grip, it doesn't matter too much to me today if the leg is super straight or if it's bent. It's just trying to get some of these areas to get some sensation. It's like these huge breaths. We're just trying to start inflating the balloon. Let some of these breaths continue to fill up your body, imagining it's even going into your leg, into your hip, into your toes. Good. So from here, we're taking this right ankle, placing it on left thigh as our figure four stretch. Give it a hug around that left side. And oftentimes when I get right into this stretch, this right hip, it feels kind of like what I envision is happening in that balloon when the fabric's just twisted and it's so tight around itself that it just won't let anything past it. So our goal here over the next little bit is to ease into that right hip so that we can visualize that area receiving this flow of fresh oxygen, this flow of life force. So take a few more breaths for this spot. gonna keep this ankle up on the other thigh. The left foot goes down to the floor. And we're gonna just kind of ease around that hip for a little while. So let the legs fall over to the right. Let them fall over to the left. Kind of swiveling the hips around in their socket. Good. So the next time the legs fall over to the left, let them stay a little bit longer. I love how that creates so much spaciousness around the outer right hip and right thigh. Just keep on taking those deep breaths, inflating that part of the body. Another deep breath for this side. Tilting the unit that our legs are in back up, let them continue to fall over to the right. That takes this left leg into internal rotation. So don't feel like you have to push that left knee down or anything. It can be as high up as it needs to be comfortable. But just feel more and more space being brought through hip. This one especially gets me into kind of like the front of the hip flexors, and even into the waist a little bit. So sometimes it's nice not only to open the arms out to the sides, but maybe even for this one, lift the arms a little bit toward the back wall, just to help fill that pull just a little bit more space. Another huge breath flows right there. Our legs come back up. See if you can cross this right knee even more tightly over the left knee. Take the thighs into the chest from there, trying to grab onto each ankle if possible, knees if not. This is a place where sometimes it's just so tight, letting the knees drop a little bit further away is all we can do. Sometimes I'll pull it in even tighter, especially since we're kind of like easing deeper and deeper and deeper into that hip joint. A few more breaths in this spot. So those new areas way deep in there start to become revealed. I'll take one more twist before we switch sides. So arms spread open. The super crossed legs start to fall over to the left. And you choose how far to go. Sometimes it's more about the waist where we're feeling the cinched fabric at this point. Or sometimes it's like, oh no, by tilting really far or not, it's getting just the right spot of the hip and thigh still. So imagine it's like we're freeing out the fabric. We've kind of pulled it in all sorts of directions and angles. So take another huge breath just in this easy spot. Good. And hips go back down to the ground. Unwind the legs. Take both knees into the chest. And imagine this next little thing is like trying to inflate that right leg a little bit. So we pull the head into the knees, and then arms and legs stretch away from one another. Inhale. Exhale, curl right back in. Let's do 5 more of those. Inhale. Exhale. Taking 4. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Slide the right leg long on the earth, left leg up to sky. Just a brief moment for the hamstring. Doesn't have to be super straight or super intense. Just enough that you feel some sensation starting to open. Deep inhale. Nice exhale, figure 4 on this side. Left ankle up, give it the hug. Arms release. The right foot is on the ground. Take a few rounds tilting the legs back and forth between right and left. And then when we go next time over to the right, stay a few bonus breaths. Imagine for 3 more breaths here, we're starting to allow maybe just a little bit of air space to pass through that hip. Third breath finishes. Tilt the legs up, continue to fall over to the left. This is the one where it sometimes feels nice to let the arms start to rise up above the head. That could help to pull the hip flexors and the waist just a little bit longer. Notice how it is to breathe into the belly for this direction. So when the legs rise back up, see if the left knee can continue to cross even more tightly over. Try to hug around the legs, ankles if you can reach them, knees if not. Sometimes as I kind of settle into this shape, it's like it deepens itself naturally. So feel the joints willing and able to stretch open. One more breath in this spot. And then as hands release, the legs tilt all the way over to the right, arms spread open. Just that little bit more space being drawn right into the hips. More breaths in this spot. allowing hips to return to the ground, unwind the legs, legs up to sky. 3 times here. Let's allow legs to open out nice and wide. Inhale. Exhale, bring inner thighs back together. Taking 2. One more. And bending the knees, take happy baby. Deep breaths flow into the belly like we're really inflating the legs because the fabric has become unwound after all those little hip stretches we did. Little movements, like accepting the airflow in. Releasing hands, the knees come together. Let's roll our way up to a seated place. Taking a toddler's pose. When we get there, you choose how close or how far the feet are from you. Just give it space for the spine to have a chance to start opening and tilting forward. As I'm here, I want to help the hips, that very joint, start to ease its way open. So I'll continue to lean my spine just as deeply forward as it currently is. And I'll place both of my hands up on the knees, right hand on right, left hand on left. And what I'll do is just push a little bit into the right knee. My upper body counterbalances by going to the left just a little bit. And then I switch, push just a little bit into the right knee. I'm just kind of just gently pushing right and left, right and left. My spine is doing the opposite. Doesn't have to be very fast. So give that, if it's feeling useful, just a couple more pushes. Return back to the center for a breath. And then take a huge inhale like it's inflating your spine up to help create a little bit more space up the spine and up the waist. What we're going to do is plant the left hand as the right hand reaches diagonally over. You take the inhale while you're reaching, and then imagine you're grabbing something, pulling it up. That's our exhale. So then switch sides, inhale to lean, exhale to pull back through the center. Air being that tool to help fill up the balloon. Let's take another 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. Last one each. Good. Right leg straightens out in front of us. With a huge inhale, feel the spine straighten up as much as possible. When the exhale begins, release over that straight leg. Inflates our spine back up. Switch the legs. Inhale to rise, really feel the spine lifting. Exhale, release. More breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and place us up. Begin to swing the knees underneath us. Let's take some of the cat-cows. Just feel that spine have more and more movement. Try to move with the breath up and down. One more cycle up and down. Back to neutral. Let's tuck our toes, start to lift the hips. Make the first movement about the calves. So one knee bends, the other heel's trying to push down to the ground. Switch, push the heel down. Maybe another cycle or so of that. And let the legs come to equal length. Hips trying to float higher and higher and higher to the sky. Good. Feet start to walk up to the top of the mat. From here, whether we're touching the floor or using our legs, let's walk the fingers a little bit further over to the right side, bringing up the spine. Walking the fingers over to left. Back to the center. Next inhale, raise our spine all the way up, maybe a slight arch back. Good, head to heart. Take another lateral lean, right hand to right thigh. Left hand up and over. Good, switching it out. Back up. We're standing on left foot. This right leg is rotating open to tree pose. You can get ankle, calf, thigh, you choose. But feel the sensation kind of like a balloon as it's starting to get more and more inflated. It's getting to the point where instead of being focused so much down, try to feel your spine lifting up. It's like you're so full of that oxygen, you can't help but just rise. Good, so take another huge breath for this side. And drop right foot down, switch it out. Let's try out the left. Again, sometimes I kind of start off this pose with a feeling almost like sinking, like my spine's like so focused on my feet and my legs and stuff that I don't think of the rest of my spine lifting. So try to stand it up, maybe even arms float up. Beautiful. One more inhale. Exhale, soft release down. Take an inhale, circling arms there to sky. Exhale, forward fold. Start to slide the right foot all the way to the back of the mat, dropping that right knee down. If we can take our hands up to this left thigh for balance, rise up to that shape. And what we're going to do a couple of times is push the hips sinking to top of that forward as far as we can. Let it sink back at like a foot or so. And easing in and out of that joint. 4, 3, 2. On this last one, go ahead and stay a few bonus breaths, sinking as far forward as possible. One more breath in. With our exhale, we'll start to drop the hands down. That foot slides back. You can either go straight to down dog or take a flow if you'd like. Moving through chaturanga, cobra, back up to down. Beautiful. Right foot floats up to sky. Feel it reach as high as possible. And step that foot in between hands. We're rising up to balance. The back heel is trying to stay lifted if possible. So if balance is really not happening, feet separating away from one another helps balance. So find that spot where you can rise up. Feel how this gets just briefly into that front of left hip. Good inhale. Nice exhale. Inhale, we're going to try to step on that front foot. And then with this left knee floating, we're going to try to grab around the knee. Pull it in just a moment. Set that left foot open into tree pose. Maybe inflate the arms if the balance is there. Huge inhale. Exhale, drop the foot down, but leave the arms up. Inhale, arch up and back even more. And exhale, dive all the way down. Good. Left foot slides back. Drop the knee down. Hands up to the front thigh if the balance is there. And 5 times nice and slow. Forward. And a little bit back. 4. 3. 2. When we get to the last one, stay just a little bit longer. Inhale. Exhale, the leg starts to come back. Drop the hands down. You can go straight to the down dog or take another flow, your choice. From the down dog, left leg floats up to sky. Let reach. Step it in between hands. And keep the back heel floating. Separation, meaning scooting the right toes to the right further if you need more balance help. Arms float up to sky. Feel that space in front of right hip. More inhale. Exhale, shift weight onto front foot. Try to grab around this right knee. Let the right foot open to tree. Maybe arms rise. Leave the arms, foot drops down. Feel that nice back bend. And hands to heart. So here, either step about as wide as the mat to take the yogic squat, malasana, or if your knees don't really want to today, just step even wider than the mat to just go higher, pushing the knees open. So neither's right or wrong. We'll ultimately have 2 rounds of it. So maybe choose one, the first one, and then do the other, the second one. Whatever amount feels good, just a gentle opening for hips. A couple of breaths here. One more breath here. Fingers go down. Leave the left foot. The right foot slides to the back. Drop the knee down. This is lizard, so hips are already sinking forward. If you want to lower to one or both elbows, you're welcome to do that for a couple of breaths. Good. So coming back up to hands. Imagine we're turning on the fire for a little while. So tuck the back toes, lift up that back knee. We're gonna try to hold here. This is kind of like a supported plank position. We're trying to hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Slide that foot back, straight to down dog, child pose, or a flow. Right leg floats up to sky. Step the right foot to outside of right hand. This time, because of where the hands are, what we're going to do is kind of straighten the front leg as much as we can without shifting hands at all. So it might not go all the way straight, and then pulse back to a bent knee position with that. So hands are trying to not shift. So when we straighten it like that, feel how it pulls the spine a little bit longer, and then bend the knee. Take another 3. 2. 1 more. Maybe stay straight just a little bit longer. Good. When front knee bends again, we're going to try to rise up with balance. So if you need to step even wider to have balance, that's great. Float the arms up. Just another breath here. And as we step onto that front foot, try to grab the left knee. Good. Side it open into tree. Maybe arms float. Woo. Good. And the feet go about as wide as mat if you're doing another malasana, or wider if you're doing the high hip press. So either way, we've got good hip opener going on. So fingertips start to drop down. The left foot slides to the back, drop the knee down. Lizard pose, sink hips forward, maybe drop down to elbows. If the heel starts to lift, that's just a sign, let's scoot the foot just a little bit further forward. Back up to hands. Turning on the fire again. Tuck the toes, lift up the back knee. Holding in that supported plank for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide the foot back, transfers down dog or a flow. Legs float up to sky, feel it reach. Left foot steps to outside of left hand. The best we can, 5 pulses, letting that front leg straighten as much as it can. Feel the spine get pulled long. And sink back to bendy. 4. 3. 2. 1. Maybe pause just a little bit longer, the straight leg. Front knee bends. Shift your back foot to anywhere it needs to help balance as you come up. More breath here. So shift on the front foot, grabbing around right knee. Back to tree. Arms float. Good. Dropping the foot down. Take one last flow all the way back. Circle up, little back bend. Exhale, dive all the way forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, get the hands down, planted, shift back. Child's pose, down dog, or last flow. Up at a kneeling position, sitting on our feet. Shift the hips to the left, so your feet are tucked into the right side. The right hand is grabbing onto right ankle. Left hand tries to reach up and over, and continue to let the right ear drop to the right shoulder. So leaving the ear down to shoulder, start to let that left hand return. It can either float out at shoulder height or even lower. And that starts to pull that left shoulder into a stretch. Head floats up. Let's shift our hips to the other side, picking them up, shift over. Left hand grabs left ankle, right hand reaches up, lean over if you can. Remember to drop left ear to left shoulder. The right hand starts to return down, shoulder height or lower. Feel it pull that right shoulder open. Good. Head floats up. Shift the hips back up. And then slide the right knee forward into pigeon pose. You're welcome to drop right down into sleeping pigeon. Make sure you're not just resting on that right hip. The sacrum is level. Time to breathe here. Keep letting those breaths flow in and out. Here, purposely let yourself rock your weight onto your right hip. Your left leg begins to swing around in front. You're either just letting that left foot plant to that left top side of the mat or crossing it over the thigh if that's comfortable. It's whatever spot, it doesn't matter too much. And from here, we take a twist. The right hand is around the knee. Left hand is behind us. The spine get this chance to spiral and wind around. Spine returns forward. We're going to take those poses in the opposite order for the second side. So now the left leg is down. It's this right foot that's either planted up at the top right or crossed over. It's whichever felt better. Left hand grabs that right knee. Right hand is behind us. Think of the spine lifting up before it spirals around. Turning forward, leave the left leg here. It's the right that swings all the way around for this side pigeon pose. Remember, we're not just keeping our weight on that left hip. We have to pick it up to center that sacrum right over. And start to breathe into this half. Here for a few more breaths. Two more deep cycles in and out. When we shift back, shift into a wide knee child pose. These are about as wide as the mat, hips sink back, and the arms are stretching all the way to the top, really long forward. From this, let's take a nice little shoulder twist. So the right arm threads under the left armpit space. Try to just continue to let the side of the head rest down. Winding this right arm, let's thread the left through. Unwind a bonus breath in this child pose. Easy rise back up. We're shifting down to a seated place, swinging the legs back out in front of us. And from here, choose a last forward fold. Maybe you want to do a cobbler, maybe 2 straight legs forward, maybe wide angle. Just choose the last thing, whether it's for hips or hamstrings or both. Choose the last thing that feels like it's just complete for your system at this time. As you get into this shape, maybe your body's telling you, oh, please stay here a little bit longer. So maybe you pause here, another 5 or 6 slow breaths. Or maybe there's other shapes your body wants you to take before shavasana, maybe working onto our back, enjoying a twist or a happy baby. So it's no rush at all. Keep on listening to your body. So eventually at our own paces, continuing to transition eventually to shavasana. Never ever a rush to be out. Keep on exploring, keep on listening until you know your body's complete. Just naturally in its shavasana shape. So sooner or later when you get to shavasana, imagine after all this work we've done, laying out the balloon, filling it up with air, heating it up. Imagine now during shavasana, the balloon has had liftoff. So instead of focusing necessarily today on our muscles sinking down into the ground, focus on your breath. And imagine that breath is continuing to carry us on winds, just floating for the shavasana. Maybe you're a visual person, and you're imagining kind of looking over a city and seeing all the beautiful views as the wind carries you around. Or maybe there's something else you're focusing on, just that slow, steady pulsing of the breath, like the pulling of the fire. So no right or no wrong, but let yourself be up in the air, is freely floating around for the next few minutes with the shavasana. Begin to deepen our inhales, our exhales. Introducing little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out in ways that feel really nice. eventually taking a nice fetal position off to one side. Here we can enjoy a few bonus breaths, maybe 2 or 3 really good cycles, until sooner or later we feel ready to rise. Hands together at our heart when we come up. And we feel this residual freedom of our flight, that freedom, like the bird's flight, where we can cut through the directions and we don't have to drive on certain paths that have been defined. That freedom and carefreeness, that realization, all we have to do is just go where the wind takes us. Sometimes that freedom is something we don't give ourselves. So with that kind of freedom to help lead us on, let's wrap up the time we got to share together with a sound of Om. Deep inhale now. Om. May we be filled with light, happiness, and peace. Namaste.